grief is significant. And I didn't often know I was grieving. I knew I was angry, or I knew I was sad, or I knew I was scared. And I will admit, when I started my cancer diagnosis, I was terrified for a couple of reasons. After chemo, I would lay in bed at night, and I was afraid to go to bed for a couple of reasons. One was the pain was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Another was, I honest to God was afraid to go to bed because I didn't know if I'd see daylight, and I wanted to see another day. I wasn't ready to go. And so I'd stay up all night and I'd be exhausted. And then as soon as daylight would come, I'd fall asleep because I just needed to see daylight. I didn't know those were normal. It didn't feel normal, but those are very normal to have those kind of anxieties and fears and worries. I was afraid of the pain. The pain was, I've got a pretty hefty pain threshold, especially being an athlete, climbing, tens of thousands of feet, just pushing my body mentally and physically. And this was the kind of pain I've never experienced in my life and don't ever, ever wish on anybody.
Okay,
so
this for somebody who's watching this, who is early in their experience,
yeah,
hearing about this level of pain could be quite scary.
Oh, yes.
So can you talk about how did you get through this?
Yeah.
What was helpful, and is there a coming out again on the other side? Can we inject some hope here into this?
Absolutely. First of all, talk with your physicians about pain, your practitioners, your nurses about the pain. Let your loved one know that you're in pain so you don't have to go through it together. Go to support groups because they can help talk about how they've managed the pain. And the other thing about pain is, do not be discouraged if someone will say to you, you may have to try 10 things before something works for you, because we're all bio-individually different, which means our genetic makeups, the way we're put together, the way we process. So you can be sitting next to someone and they have the same kind of pain and something works for them, but it doesn't work for you. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Unfortunately, you have to keep trying till you find that thing or that combination of things. And that took me a while to accept. I didn't understand that at all. That didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, well, I'm failing. And it's like, no, you're not failing. You may have to try 10 things. And I'm like, I don't have the tolerance, let alone patience to try 10 things, but I had to learn that because there was a light at the end of that. I also talked about my pain with my therapist. Again, family members aren't equipped to handle that. I talked to other cancer patients who were survivors, how they handled their pain. And the good news is I forgot a lot of it. Like after I finished my chemo, I literally forgot how much pain I had been in. It just kind of was like, I don't ever want to think about it. It's like, gone, there it goes. So I kind of forgot about the level of pain. And even as I describe some of it now, I can't remember. I can remember why I was scared, but I can't remember the level of pain. I just knew I was in pain. So the other thing I learned is that nothing lasts forever, including pain, and that will pass. And if I can just trust that will pass, it will pass. I also talked to a friend of mine who had lung cancer come back twice. And I said, John, how do you get through this? And he said, I approach everything with curiosity. And I said, say more. And he said, well, the first time cancer came around, I thought I had it and I'd done all my research and I understood it. And he said, then when it came back, he's like, okay, there's something here I'm not catching on to. And he said, I just approached my life. I approached the way I interacted with people more curiously, rather than thinking I had the answer or I had to have the answer. I just approached everything with curiosity rather than thinking I had to know or everything had to be okay. Because curiosity means you don't have the answer. And there are multiple paths that can lead you to a place. And so if you're curious, you're like, that's not exactly my size, or that doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to try this one. Or that doesn't work for me. I'm going to try this. And that's how I actually found different support groups. I tried different ones and they didn't work for me, much like how I tried the pain meds. And I found that, interestingly, if I were in a lot of pain, I didn't realize it, but if I started doing artwork, my pain completely disappeared. And I think it was because I wasn't focusing on the pain. I was completely distracted by something that was healthy. And that's my other recommendation. You can get distracted by unhealthy things. You can say to yourself, well, I'm going to eat this ice cream, or I'm going to smoke this cigarette, or I'm going to have this drink because I deserve it, or I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And yeah, you can. That's your choice. But that's not really going to be nourishing you for the long run. And in many instances, it'll cloud your decision making. At least it did for me. And thank God I had the fortitude enough to see, okay, I could try this for a little bit, but this isn't going to serve me. So the other way I finally got through pain and understanding the pain is learning how to accept pain meds. I'm such an integrative person, and I don't really like drugs in any form. I'm not the one to say, oh, go take a pill or take an aspirin or take another pill. If I didn't have to do the chemo, I wouldn't have. So I learned how to accept drugs that were appropriately used to manage symptoms or pain of cancer. When I walk into a physician's office, they usually have to ask, who's the cancer patient? Because I do not look like I have cancer. And that is very confusing for me, and it's very confusing for those around me, because even when my family members or my friends come and see me, they're like, oh my God, you're so lucid. Obviously, I'm talking at a time with you right now where I'm on my pain meds, I'm not on my oxygen, I've had a shower, and I feel I've been blessed with a spirit of energy I can't explain. The truth is, I have now one kidney shut down because the tumor is sitting on it. I have several organs that it's moved into. I have decreased lung capacity. I have a lot of fogginess, and I don't live there. I live it, but I don't live there. And I know this is what cancer is doing to me. And I know the only protocols that are left for me are ones that will take me out. And take me out means side effects so bad that they'll shut down my organs again, and that's how I'll go. And so I have chosen to take a slower pace where I'm being surrounded, for me, what I consider to be love and care in hospice. I know that if I'm put on fentanyl, I will sleep more. I know if we up my meds, and I mean sleep more to the point of being catatonic, I will sleep probably 20 out of 24 hours of the day. It is a choice I make on how to balance my pain with the way I want to live my life. It's hard for people to understand how much pain I am in often. And before we sat down, I took a shot of morphine because I knew I wouldn't make it without it. I'm on extended release morphine throughout the night and all day long. And then I do what's called PRN during the day when it flares up. I'm also on some other meds that help with the anxiety and the pain management. And that's why I'm able to not necessarily look like I have cancer, but I plot things around moments where I know I'm going to be okay. And probably I'll be completely honest, 20 minutes before I got onto this call, I didn't know if I could make it. And so that's why I took my shot of morphine, thinking, well, if I could just extend that pain release for a little bit longer. I sit here with my right leg completely edemic. It looks like a clump. But would you know that about me? No, because I usually don't talk to people about all the pain that I'm in. I get tired of it. I don't like to be reminded of it because I live it so much. I go to bed at night at 9 or 10. I'm up by anywhere between 1 and 4. And I'm usually up for an hour and a half, 2 hours trying to control the pain, even though I'm on extended release. It's supposed to be release. I just have learned how to adapt to managing the pain in this lifestyle. And I take naps when I need to. And I'm graced to be here. I am blessed to be here. I'm grateful to be here, but it's hard. But I don't talk about how hard it is. I don't. It's just who I am. I rarely tell people how hard it is because I don't, and I never want to remember. I don't want to recall chemo. I don't want to recall immunotherapy. I don't want to recall not being able to go to bed at night because I was afraid I wouldn't see the morning light. I don't want to recall those things. The more normalcy, my choices, the more normalcy I can have, the easier it is for me to breathe until I no longer breathe. But yeah, it's flipping hard. It is hard. But I go to gratitude.